Welcome to episode 4 of Moore's Stop. I'm here with Mayor Mark Ham.
Hello.
Lots of fun things going on around Moore this time of the year as we turn the corner and head for summer.
That's true. Summer is here. By the time this is out, school will be out and the swimming pools will be open and kids are going to be out having a blast.
Splash pads are already open. The aquatic center open. I mean, all sorts of fun things going on. We got summer beats. We've got National Night Out. We got, of course, the big 250th year celebration, the celebration in the Heartland, fishing derby, all sorts of things going on that you can follow on the City of Moore's website. All of those events are listed there. And at pitchformoremonthly.com, our summer events guide will be on newsstands in June. So by the time this comes out, you can go pick up a hard copy of that or go to our website and see all of those things listed in one place. And but we don't want to get sidetracked. Summer's coming and we're going to have fun. But I was talking to somebody the other day and actually went out and shot drone video of a place in Moore that has a really, really interesting history that I didn't know about. But you and I were talking, it's known as Cleveland Heights, and longtime Moore residents are going to recognize that phrase, Cleveland Heights, and they're going to know exactly what we're talking about. There's some interesting history about that piece of land and what's going on with it.
Yeah, Cleveland Heights is a quarter section of land, about 160 acres, that sits in the northeast part of our city. It's bordered by North Bryant, Northeast 12th, and North Sunny Lane. And back in the 50s, there were some developers that bought it and had it platted through the city. So there is a plat, and it has all the homes where they're going to be in the streets. And then they sold lots at the state fair. And people bought those lots, and they cut some roads out at Cleveland Heights. They put in power poles and even put in some sewer lines. But for some reason, it was never developed, and I don't know why. I think ultimately there were 4, maybe 5 homes that were built out there. And so it's just kind of sat as an empty field for all of these years. And part of the reason is why somebody bought a lot in the 50s, and the home was never built, and that person passed away, and then it was given through their will to their siblings or to their children. And so now you have one lot that might have 10, 12, or 13 owners, and those people have moved all over the country, and they don't even know they own this piece of land. So it made it really difficult for any single developer to come in there and want to buy this property, because they're going to have to track down all of these people and try to buy this lot from them. So this is when the city stepped in several years ago, and we developed the Urban Renewal Authority, and that gave us an avenue to go in and begin to acquire some of this property. So we did declare that area a blighted area, and we began to find these individuals that owned those pieces of property, and then began to negotiate and to buy those properties. And then those properties where we could not find owners, it has to be condemned, and it has to go through a whole legal process. And so we've done that, and we're down to the last 4 or 5 pieces of property.
All right, so I want to make sure I understand this, because it sounds like a great mystery. This section of land, known as Cleveland Heights, sold by developers, plots, back in the 50s, and now the owners are children of children of children some have moved off. You don't know where they are, so developers are going, no, we can't do anything with that because it's too much trouble. The city has gone through the trouble of tracking down everybody, and the city is pulling together everything that is needed for Cleveland Heights to move forward with some kind of development. And you're down to the last couple of plots, am I right? That's what I'm hearing you say?
Yes.
Okay, so my question then is, and there may not be a clear answer to this yet, is what do you have planned? What's going to happen with Cleveland Heights once these last few pieces of the puzzle fall into place?
And that is still to be determined. The city is exploring all kinds of options and possibilities. It's going to probably be a residential, maybe a mix of business, But what is this going to look like in the grand scheme? I can't tell you exactly because I'm just not sure. I do know that we have worked with the University of Oklahoma to help us develop and have some ideas so we can have visuals of what would really fit within this home, this addition. Would it be homes for new families? Could it be homes for senior adults? Could it be homes for just a mixture of all of that? And it could really become a gathering space.
But it's going to be some sort of residential area? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, it will be resident. That's primarily what we have over the northeast part of town. We're not looking to develop a lot of businesses out there. Now, within that residential, there could be some businesses that could support that neighborhood as well as those surrounding neighborhoods.
Okay, very good. Well, it sounds like, I mean, again, for folks that don't really track those kind of things or drive by out there, it might come as a bit of, oh, hey, I didn't know that was going on, but it sounds like a really good project.
It is, and it's just a valuable piece of real estate that has been untouched for years. And as we run out of space to develop and more, it's become even more valuable, finally to the point where the city said, we need to do something about this. So I would just encourage residents of our community to stay tuned and to pay attention because things will be happening out there, hopefully in the near future.
And as always, the mayor, the city council, the folks at City Hall, they love to hear from the community your thoughts on these kinds of things.
We do, and all of our contact information can be found at thecityofmoore.com under the government tab.
That's great. Okay, we're going to take a little bit of a break, and then we're going to be back with Robert Pistole, who's going to just share some fascinating information about Moore's water. Grab your swimwear and head over to the Station Aquatic Center for the Daddy and Daughter Party at the Pool on Friday, June 19th, a date night for daughters to be escorted by any adult figure, featuring swimming, dancing, light snacks, balloon animals, and more, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. For more information, call the station at 405-793-5090. Hey, welcome back, folks. We're in our second segment where we bring in a guest from the surrounding community. Mayor Mark, you brought someone that is, I think, going to be chock full of really, really great information and, slake our thirst, as it were, with the questions you have lined up.
Very good, and I like your introduction to that. So thirst is the key word. We're going to visit in just a minute or two with Robert Pistole, and he works for Veolia Water. That's who the City of Moore contracts with to provide our sanitary sewer as well as some of our drinking water. And Robert's going to dive a little bit more into where we get our water. Do we buy it from Oklahoma City? Do we get it from water wells? And so forth. So, Robert, why don't you just quickly to say hello and introduce yourself?
Thank you, Mayor. Again, I'm Robert Pistole. I've been the project manager for the City of Moore for about 35 years now.
All right.
35 years, and I don't know where it all went. It's been a fun ride.
Well, you, again, are not a newcomer to Moore municipal government, and a 35-year employee of the city and with Veolia is something to be proud of, and so we applaud that.
Yeah.
Thank
By
you.
the way, I just want to say, I've lived in a number of places over the course of my life, and there are some of those places where just drinking water from the tap ain't fun.
Yeah.
Moore is not one of those places. Our water from the tap is really, it's pretty good.
It is.
Yeah.
So, Robert, let's just dive into this. So, can you just give us a quick overview of exactly what does Veolia do for the City of Moore, and just kind of think about how do you manage both our drinking water and our waste water systems?
Well, first of all, our drinking water comes from 42 separate water wells throughout the city. We have 7 tie-ins with the City of Oklahoma City. We also have a treatment plant that's 9.5 million gallons, and that's on the wastewater side, sorry. The wastewater side has a 9.5 MGD, which is million gallons per day. And then we also have 7 lift stations that pump throughout the city.
I didn't realize we have 42 wells. I thought it was 23 or 24. Are
Yeah.
we continuing to drill new ones?
No, we're not continuing to drill new ones. We've have all the raw water rights that we are eligible for in the city of Moore.
Okay.
Out of the 42 wells, 28 are active wells right now that we're operating on a daily mode, basically. And then we have 10 that's on standby. And there's a few that we just, the water quality on them is just terrible. So we just had to shut them down.
And where does that, I know the water comes from the ground, but what aquifer does this water come from?
It's the Garber Wellington aquifer. Most of our wells are about 1,000 foot deep. So it's a very deep water aquifer.
That is. And how dependent is the city on these water wells? Because you said we have 7 tie-ins from Oklahoma City. Just explain real quick, what do you mean as a tie-in?
Our water wells can only produce, the best case scenario, about 7.2 million gallons a day. And we're above that.
Yeah.
You know, so, and, you know, we average about 5 million gallons a day with our water wells. So we have to actually purchase water from Oklahoma City. And we have several tie-ins throughout the city, mainly to hydraulically model the water so it's mixed properly. You don't want everything coming in at, say, 12th and Eastern, so to speak, because then you get some taste complaints.
Okay.
You're going to really notice the heavy bleach.
Yeah.
I think Mark said something about traveling around, and you go to different cities, and you can smell the chlorine and taste it and stuff like that.
So basically we use Oklahoma City to help supplement our demand. Or supplement, we actually have to have it.
We have to have it, absolutely.
To supply all the water for all of the needs throughout our city. In Oklahoma City, does that come from Lake Stanley Draper?
Yes, it comes from Lake Stanley Draper. Actually, it comes from Lake Atoka.
Okay.
The city of Oklahoma City actually pumps the water from Lake Atoka to Draper. Draper is basically a lake. It's a storage lake from Lake Atoka.
All right. And when we get the water out of the ground, do we have to do anything to it? Clean it, process it, treat it, or does it go straight into the...
It goes straight into there. We do disinfect it. Yeah, we add a little bleach, so to speak. It's sodium hypochlorite, which is a stronger bleach, but we inject bleach to it. And it's very good quality water.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. And I could go into more questions, but it maybe get a little boring for people. But it's it is interesting. So let me ask you another one. We kind of talked about our drinking water and where it comes from and how we have to treat it, and as well as we buy water from Oklahoma City. But every now and then, I will get in the mail, as well as other residents, a notice about some of the arsenic levels in our water.
Yeah.
Now, what does that mean? And when a citizen gets that in their mail, what is that telling them? And is there anything to be concerned about?
We talked a little bit earlier about how many different locations. One water well is a very small percentage of our daily usage. Okay. Arsenic is a bad thing, but it's naturally occurring. It's a heavy metal.
So it's not necessarily a pollutant. It's not something that we are causing.
That's correct.
Just,
it's naturally
there.
It's naturally there. They're very, very low amounts. In the early 2000s, the EPA changed the speed limit, so to speak. They lowered the arsenic level to a 10 running average. Prior to that, it was 50 parts per billion, which is really small. So they lowered the level to 10.
So if as you monitor our wells throughout the city, if one of those shows something above 10, then the city is required to send notices
out
to the users. And in no way, if that water were unsafe, would we distribute it? Do we shut that well down until we get the levels
Yeah.
to where they need to be?
Generally, what happens, we do immediately shut it down. There's no cause for, oh no, the sky is falling, because it's such a low detection limit.
Yeah.
It's almost non-detectable, but I mean, it's for everyone's safety.
Right.
It's for everyone's safety. So we do shut it down. And you don't really have to do anything. Just let the well recharge. The water aquifers are always moving,
Okay.
and it seems to just think it's going downstream.
Yeah.
We turn it off, and the arsenic just travels downstream,
Okay.
and then we can turn it back on later and test it. We always test it for at least 2 or 3 weeks to make sure we're not going to get a hit of it again.
Okay.
And
So don't test it just once. We're going to test it
Several times.
Several
Several
times
times.
before we turn that well back on.
So I just want to make sure I'm tracking here, because I'm the idiot in the room as usual. So dumb it down for me, or let me say it to you and you can tell me if I'm tracking correctly. Aquifers are not this static bit of water 1,000 feet down, the one you were talking about that we
Yeah.
tap into. It's a moving body of water underground. And so when we get an arsenic reason, which you said was how much per million or billion?
it's 10 parts per billion.
10 points per billion, which sounds really, really low.
Yeah.
But that's enough to trigger hey, there's a problem here. So you shut it down, and that pocket of water that has the arsenic in it moves on. We're not drawing from a static body of water. We're drawing from a changing body of water. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay,
That's correct.
good. That helps me understand it.
And generally speaking, that 10 parts per billion from that one water well that we may have from time to time have a hit on, and generally it's 2 or 3 years that kind of comes up. I don't know why, but it does.
Well, we're running low on time, so let me run just a couple of other questions and things that have always piqued my interest. So you kind of answered some of the biggest challenges of providing clean drinking water, but the city has a pretty good handle on that. But what about down the road? What about 10, 15, 20 years from now as our city continues to grow with businesses and homes? How is Veolia helping the city prepare to meet that demand?
Well, of course, what we really can, it's managing your existing system. We can help with the water losses. Just recently, we recalculated the water losses in 2024 to 2025, and there's a 15% improvement there. And what that amounts to is better water lines. We're going through, we're putting new water lines in, new services, getting those out. So it's more of to conserve our water.
So
Because we don't have a lot of choices anymore.
Right.
We're landlocked.
Right.
And we have all the water rights and that's why we have 42 wells, but only 28 because we want to keep the water rights.
So that kind of goes back to infrastructure and just replacing aging infrastructure and leaky pipes, making sure that those are sound and we're not losing water. We're keeping all that's being cleaned and processed. That's what you guys help us do.
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Tell me just a real quick about something nobody wants to talk about, and that's when your wastewater. You know, whether you're taking a shower or you have to use the restroom, and then you push the lever, and the citizen is done with it at that point. Where does it go, and what happens to it ultimately?
The wastewater, once it goes from your house, it enters what we refer to as a collector line. There's several collector lines throughout the city, and that's usually right behind your houses. And then from the collector lines, it will go to what they refer to as a trunk line. And then once it goes through a trunk line will be catching neighborhoods as it comes through there. And then it goes into what we refer to a main. And then the main trunk, so to speak. And depending on where you're at in Moore, we have 7 different lift stations. So it literally will gravity all throughout Moore.
But it ultimately all goes to the waste treatment center. Wherever you live in Moore, the wastewater is going to our treatment facility that's located down on I-34th and I-35.
Yeah. It all travels down to the wastewater treatment plant. So a fun fact is that if you're on the far northeast side of town, it takes 2 days.
Whoa.
2 days before it actually reaches there.
I didn't
Wow.
know that.
Yeah,
I'm very surprised.
Yeah, because we've got over 300 miles of sewer mains, and it can only travel so fast, and it's very important for your lines to not go too fast or too slow.
Years ago, I went down and toured the sewer plant, and it's really an amazing facility. And you can be standing right by it and not know you're standing by a sewage plant because the odor is not there. Now, there are some days in the city when we have heavy rainfalls and some of the waste water from storm runoff has to be stored, but for the most part, it's all inside of a facility, and before that air is put back into the atmosphere, it's filtered to help reduce the odor. So once that water is treated, how clean is it, and then where do we send it?
So we can remove about what we refer to our inorganics, 90% of all of the organics fairly easily. And then the next 10% is a little more difficult, But it literally takes about 24 hours to treat wastewater. And we take all of I once had a Boy Scout said, I recognize where the poo-poo goes because we actually filter that out. Mm-hmm. And we put some chemicals with it called polymer, and we take that to the landfill. We can filter all the solids out of it. And then we have to actually treat biologically the pee-pee, so to speak. Yep. He wanted to know how that worked.
Yeah.
And I thought that was very interesting.
Oh, it is.
I thought that was very interesting, that young man wanted to know how that.
So when the water, where does it go? After it's been treated, and I assume it has to be tested and there's standards before it can be released back into the environment, but where do we release it? Where does it go?
So we do have a permit with the EPA and DEQ, and once it's treated to the safe levels, we actually pump it to the river. It actually travels along Indian Hills Road about 5 miles to the South Canadian River.
Okay.
And some of that water is reused to make power. You've got a McLean power plant. Ogini has a power plant over at Newcastle. They actually use our effluent water to cool the towers down.
Okay.
There.
So when we look over to the southwest and see that white steam rising
That's
from the
our
power plant, that's really water that has come from
here.
us.
Yeah, that's our effluent water. When you see the steam there, that's our effluent water cooling the towers to generate electricity.
So we clean the water to get it to the standard where it can be released, but we're also selling that water to this treatment plant, or we just have an agreement where they will take it?
No, we do sell it.
Okay.
It's not much, but it's something.
Yeah.
But that's not the point. The point is the reuse of it.
Sure.
Yeah, that's the point.
Well, is there anything, before we wrap this up, that you want to tell us about the Veolia? And I know they don't just work here in Moore, Oklahoma. They're an international company, is that right?
That's correct. It's a very large company. Last numbers I've seen worldwide, it's international, had 450,000 employees.
Wow.
Worldwide.
Wow.
It's a very large company. But having said that, we're a small company right here in Moore, Oklahoma, that is definitely have a good partner relationship with private-public partnership with you. And I think it works. I'm a hometown boy here in Moore, and I'm very proud of Moore. I feel Moore is very fortunate to have a large company like that supporting us. I really do.
I agree. Years ago, the city did take care of its own wastewater and tried to, and did a good job, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But just looking at the numbers, you can find a company like Veolia, and I'm sure there's others, that's what they do.
Yeah.
And they know how to do it, and they can do it a lot more efficient than what we can, because they are such an international company, and they can combine all their resources to ensuring that our water is clean to drink and that our wastewater is safe to put back into the environment, because it's going to be reused again.
Absolutely.
Well, hey, thank you so much for taking some time to stop and say hello and talk to us about water. It's something that if we're not here, then we wouldn't be here. And the train that ran up and down the track, about every 20 miles, they would stop to fill the steam engine back up with water. And that's how most of these towns were established, up and down the BNSF rail line. So water is vital and it's important, and I appreciate all that you and your team do at our treatment facility.
Well, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Robert, also thanks from me. It's been fun talking to you over the years and having you explain some of these things to me, so it's great to hear it again. And we're going to take a little break, and we will be right back with some of your questions for Mayor Mark. Don't miss the biggest event of the summer, July 4th at Buck Thomas Park. It's the City of Moore's Celebration in the Heartland, featuring one of Oklahoma's largest fireworks shows, along with food trucks, vendors, live music, and events throughout the day. 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. at Buck Thomas Park. Fireworks begin around 9:45 p.m. Visit cityofmoore.com for more information. Hey, welcome back to our final segment. It's time to take your questions for Mayor Mark. Mayor Mark, it sounds to me like you've got a pretty good question today.
We do, and today's question, or this month's question, is from Kim Sober. And she is asking, why does Moore not have public storm shelters?
That always comes up, especially in severe weather season. People are like, why don't you have somewhere I can go and be safe?
Yes, that is a common question, and it kind of makes sense when just from running it through your mind. But if you really think about it, we couldn't build a storm shelter big enough for 65,000 people. Of course, you'd never build one that big, but even if you put them throughout the city, the problem would be, how are you going to regulate how many people are going to be in that shelter? Who's going to decide when it's full? And when the door's closed and you have people outside, what's going to happen? So the safest thing that is recommended by the National Weather Service and other, our own city emergency management department, Galen Kitch, is just a shelter in place.
Obviously, it would be insane to build a shelter for 65,000 people. I had talked to a few folks that were like city planners that said it's dangerous to even think about building various shelters throughout the city for 250, 500, 1,000 people, even what we would consider to be, that might be a reasonable number for a shelter. That can cause all sorts of problems as well.
It can. And if you just think about severe weather and tornadoes, they happen pretty quickly. Now, we do have good forecasting, and you can sometimes see the tornado that's forming and moving this direction, but often you just have moments' notice. And so if you're going to wait till the last moment, get in your car, you might find yourself out in the open versus being in your home. The weather people on TV always tell us, go to the center of your home, whether it be a bathroom or a closet, and put things over, put on a helmet. And that's just going to be the safest place that anyone can go, is shelter in place instead of trying to get out in all of the traffic and then the congestion. If you have thousands, or let's say even hundreds of people trying to get somewhere at once, it's going to create problems.
And I moved to Oklahoma in 1996, so I've been here for 30 years. One of the very first things I learned was one of the worst places you can be in a tornado is in your car. That's just asking for trouble.
It is. And in our 1999 F5 tornado, we had some people that sought shelter under an overpass, and some of them passed away just because of the violent nature of the storm and the flow of air that's going through there. it's just better to be inside of a structure. It's great to be in a shelter. It's better to be underground, but it's good to be inside of a home and take the precautions that we've all heard about over the years of going to the center of your house, going to a bathroom, away from exterior walls, putting blankets, pillows, those kinds of things over yourself in the event that something horrific happens.
And obviously, a really smart thing to do for a homeowner would be, there are lots of storm shelter businesses in our area that are very experienced, very good at what they do. And I'm sure there are deals and things out there that can be made, but that would be a pretty wise home investment, would be a storm shelter.
Most definitely. I have one in my house, and it was added in after the 2013 tornado. And the truth is, a lot of the new homes that are built in our community are built with storm shelters. It's just kind of something that people have come to expect when they're looking for a home here in this part of the country is, do we have a storm shelter? So a lot of builders and new homes are just built with shelters in the home. But if not, you can always have one added for various prices. I don't know what they're running now, but yes, there are a lot of great companies out there that would be happy to help.
And of course, Moore Public Schools now has a storm shelter located at every school, so parents don't have to worry about, I've got to get over to the school and get my child and get them home. They will be able to shelter in place.
Right. Every Moore Public School, elementary school, our junior highs or high schools have emergency rooms, above ground shelters for their students and for the staff and the faculty at all the schools. That was a bond issue a number of years ago that passed overwhelmingly, and Moore Public Schools was able to ensure that every school in their district has a storm shelter.
Always great to talk about severe weather and safety. This time of the year, that's really important. And another, I think, really great fun episode. We're starting to maybe get in a little bit of a groove here.
I hope so, and I just want to thank Kim for submitting her question. And just if you have a question you'd like for us to answer, just go to my webpage, either personal page or Mark Hanford Mayor page, and just post it on there, and we'll get to those questions.
And don't forget, you'll find a lot of answers to so many different topics at cityofmoore.com. And you'll also want to follow the City of Moore social media on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Always posting things about events going on, opportunities, lots of information out there for you. And so make sure you check that out and enjoy the month of June. We will see you again in July as we gear up for Celebration in the Heartland. 250 years of America and 100 plus years of Moore.
That's right. It's going to be a firework display like one Moore has never seen. I promise you it will. You will be amazed. So come on out, and we are going to have drones, and then there's just the fireworks this year are going to be out of this world.
And in the meantime, enjoy June, and we will see you next month.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great month.